be different is to not be the same as another or each other, unlike in nature, form, or quality. It's inevitable that we're all different. No one individual can be exactly like the next. However, differences have been able to create a substantial divide in the United States. Cultural indifference in America may not be the root of any problems, but it's the lack of understanding Americans obtain. Americans are able to carry stubbornness towards different groups, believing that the category they fit into is above or superior. This can be changed with education, demonstrating that the ability to understand others is not only necessary, but it's beneficial to specific communities and American society as a whole. As a student at Elon University, originally from Westchester, New York, I've not lived in an abundance of diversity. The area I come from is primarily white with few mixtures of other backgrounds. Even with this being the case, people still experience and carry out discrimination, bigotry, and hatred. In the bathrooms of my high school, swastikas were drawn and displayed multiple times in the stall doors. As the Holocaust is a horrific event that the world must grow and learn from, I, along with many other students, were shocked and disappointed. This hateful action stemmed from a lack of understanding through education. Time and time again, people in America feel their voice is not heard or listened to properly. There is a significant divide that has separated American culture. Most recently, what has created a void in understanding others' differences is the Trump presidency. While people have always possessed different views, this has created many to be especially stubborn in their viewpoints. One of Trump's biggest advocacies has been placing a wall in between the United States and Mexican border. According to the Pew Research Center, it's been found that 58% Americans oppose this. As for the individuals who support this arrangement, they come off as aggressive, racist, and discriminatory to the Mexicans already living in the United States. Since Trump's presidency, there's been a huge surge in hate crimes. Seen on this graph, the majority of them contain biased motivation, with 58% being racial, 22% being based off of religion, and 17% being anti-LGBTQ. These hate attacks have led to the broad issue of America currently lacking understanding stemming in education. President Donald Trump has announced broad assumptions towards Mexican immigrants, describing them as killing us on jobs, sucking death and drugs right into the United States, and most famously saying,
"They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists."
The negative closed-off assumptions Trump has brought to the public create a substantial divide in American society. Trump's constant mentioning of a wall brings division and narrow-mindedness. Many minorities feel hatred and a lack of understanding aimed towards them. In my own personal experience, I had the amazing opportunity to travel to Senegal and Haiti on service trips. The people there spoke a different language than me, had a different skin tone than I did, had a different lifestyle than any American I know, and maintained different religious values. Yet they were kind, friendly, fun-loving, and extremely intelligent people. People are the same from the inside out. Every human being is an individual with the same simple wants and needs, even if you don't agree with them. This allowed me to have the first-hand experience gaining knowledge in that people must be understood and treated fairly because at the end of the day, we're more similar than we're different. People are entitled to their own beliefs. However, judgments passed must be dealt with differently. Mending society isn't about agreeing towards the same topics. It's about understanding and respecting one another's beliefs. Selecting one main solution to accepting and understanding differences in America is difficult to pinpoint. However, the solution seen time and time again is creating the point that educating society is vital. Education leads to more knowledge and understanding, bringing people to a more mature position. When being displayed to contradicting viewpoints, people often experience anger. According to motivational speaker Zachary Woods, the anger is worth it. I wish I could tell people that it's worth the discomfort, it's worth listening, and that we're stronger, not weaker because of it, Woods said. When approaching inequality in the face of adversity, it's more important to make a genuine commitment to gaining a deeper understanding in one another. Pushing education forward would include government requirements in schools, creating community events, and opening online communities as well. The United States government must begin by taking steps with children in elementary, middle, and high schools. Schools must create safe spaces for students who feel discriminated against. They must support kids who seem to be struggling, finding their identity in America. Schools must have projects in classrooms that support the idea of educating kids and teens while having them interact with one another in ways they become friendly and understanding towards every background, although it may be different than their own. Schools should expose students to books like Future Face, written by Alex Wagner, as it displays the author's journey to coming to terms with her unique identity and foreign background. This would help struggling students cope and expose others to how difficult it can be for people who feel as if they don't belong. Encouraging students to interact with cultural differences could involve spreading equal knowledge of diverse holidays, not just the mainstream celebrations, and looking into other backgrounds. Children and young adults would then expand their understanding of distinct viewpoints and values. Schools must create an open, safe environment for open conversation to flourish. With this, as children and teens grow older, Americans will feel increasingly united. Before tackling the United States' future, people must spread the art of understanding to adults as they inspire and influence the next voting generation. In individual towns and communities, it's necessary for leaders to put an effort towards uniting the community as a group of individuals who are different, yet understanding to one another. Events should include weekly coffee hours, events uniting different religions, and speakers attending universities. Schools should be required to have at least 5 speakers come every year that the public is open to attending. This would spark conversation on how understanding others is beneficial. 2 speakers would include Zachary Woods and Hussein Abu Bakr, as they have both presented at Elon University, reiterating why education is important and how their personal experiences have led them to come to this conclusion. These influential engagements would help people with different backgrounds realize that understanding each other is beneficial. Solutions are also beneficial when brought to people online. Our world interacts online with the most efficient way of communication being social media. Uploading various websites that spread the need for education and increasing understanding will be extremely beneficial. The websites would be an opportunity for people to share individual experiences and stories, no matter what position they're in. It could connect people around the world as well. Launching and updating websites that promote inclusion will reach young audiences on Instagram to older generations on Facebook. The website should include newsletters through an email subscription reaching people weekly. With this, people's knowledge will expand and it will come to their attention what actions they can take in order to understand and include people more often. Even though many agree that education is key, some far Republicans and far Democrats believe that viewpoints should remain separate. It can also be increasingly frowned upon when individuals try to understand discriminatory viewpoints that don't agree with their own group. Even with this being true, it's still vital to put effort forth. According to Zachary Wood's TED Talk, opposing viewpoints may confuse people, but it will always help people by giving them a deeper understanding of topics. Simply listening and trying to understand where others come from will help Americans come closer to common ground.
Many argue that by giving these people a platform, you're doing more harm than good, and I am reminded of this every time I listen to these points of view and feel my stomach turn. Yet tuning out opposing viewpoints doesn't make them go away because millions of people agree with them. In order to understand the potential of society to progress forward, we need to understand the counterforces.
Even though Americans might face controversial, perplexing, and uncomfortable conversations, society must come closer together and realize the power of educating and understanding.